Hi everyone, Rhonda without an H here. Today I want to share with you my process of making, one of my processes of making a needle book. I'm in a swap right now and I'm not doing a journal, at least not this time. I like to switch it up, and so I want to share with you. Now, as you can see, I've got here a bunch of scraps, fabric scraps, and this is what I'm going to make my needle book from. I also have, let me move that out of the way. I also have some warm and natural batting scraps from different quilting projects. So I pulled some of those out. So I've got some bigger pieces here. So that's what I'm going to work with. Excuse me. And I'm not sure yet exactly what I'm going to do, but chances are it's just going to be a fun little fold over, and I'll put an insert or two in it. So let me show you how I do it. Okay, I'm just going to pick one of these larger pieces. All right. And because we're getting that time of year, this is kind of fallish, so I'm going to pull. Oh, let's just dump some stuff out. Yeah! And these are some of my smaller, these are my really itty-bitty small pieces. So I'm just going to pull and quilt as you go method with fall colors. All right, so let me explain that to you before I go to the sewing machine and fill this all up. I will start with a centerpiece, whatever, and then I will look at and see what I want to add, where I want to add. Okay, here's a good piece. And I love to use batiks because either side really could be the right side, and they don't fray nearly as much. So the idea of quilt as you go is you put right sides together, and on a batik it really doesn't matter because both sides could be right sides. And then you, whatever line you decide to stitch on, you line it up. And then I will take this to my sewing machine and I will stitch 1/4 of an inch approximately in on this line. Then when I fold it out, it will look something like this. And then I would go and I would add another piece of fabric. Let's see, maybe some orange in here. And I don't need all of that, so we'll just snip some of that off. And I might lay this down right here. And I'm not worried about this hanging over the edge because I can trim that, and I'll show you how to do that. So then I will take my this to my sewing machine and stitch 1/4 of an inch down here. And when this folds out, you see, you get the idea. Let me bring that in just a little bit so you can kind of, so your edges are all finished and you have quilted through this batting piece. And so this is another one of those, what they call quilt as you go, because I have stitched the seam and I've quilted it at the same time, which is quilting as you go. Oh! I didn't make that up, you guys. All right. So let me stitch these together, and then I'll come back and show you a couple things. Okay, I have stitched, as you can see, this seam. I had stitched this one first and then this one, and I left my threads on so I can show you that I cut those off. And I turn it on the back, and I trim those threads off. Just as a side note, sometimes when I stitch, I am Miss Prissy Sissy. Neat, cut it all off, trim it up nicely. And sometimes I'm Miss Messy Mayhem, but that's more usually for more artsy kinds of things. And I have to admit, I'm telling about myself, you guys. I'm sorry. I am usually Miss Prissy Sissy when it comes to quilting, simply because, let's pull that back. When you're quilting and you're not accurate with your seam allowances and your blocks, cutting them out and whatnot, you can end up with a real mess, and it's very frustrating. And so as a, quilter background, that's why I'm kind of like, gotta make it right. But it's okay. Whatever your style is, go for it. Just own it. If you're Messy Mayhem, own it. If you're Prissy Sissy, own it. It's okay. We're all friends. All right. So you can see how this process starts. You can see on the back, this is quilted. So I am quilting as I go. So I will continue to add different fabrics here and there, fall colors. As you can see, I've got like a lot to pick from. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then I will come back and chat. Hi there. One thing that I am not sure that I covered that I wanted to show you before I continue on, and that is these little extra pieces of fabric. If you don't like them there, I just fold my batting down, and maybe I'll pull my stitching out just a little bit. It'll get caught when it comes to this line of stitching, so it won't pull out. I'll fold it down, and then I will trim it off, just like that. Unfold that, pull it out, and continue on. Okay, I'm going to continue on and be back when I'm done. Okay, as you can see, I have quilted this piece of batting. This is Warm and Natural, by the way. Actually, it's Warm and White. It comes in Warm and Natural and Warm and White, and I like it. There are lots of different battings you can use. I don't try to lobby one over another. This is just, I'm letting you know what I'm using. So as you can see, I've got lots of over the edge little snippets of fabric, and that's what you want. You don't want anything loose to show, any raw edge to show. So you want to go over what you actually need, and you get that, and you do that by practice. I mean, it's just practice. So I'm going to turn this over, and with my ruler and my mat board and my rotary cutter, I'm measuring here we're going to go ahead and cut that. I'm standing up to get good leverage. I'm left-handed, so obviously you adjust and adapt whatever you are. And this is measuring 8 1/4 by 5 1/4. I think that'll make a nice size. All right, get rid of those. Turn it over. See how nice that is? Just, oh, look. See, this is what I'm talking about. Let me show you. Can you see this little raw edge and the pokey sticking out, some of the threads and whatnot? If you are trying to have it be everything covered up and you're not doing an artsy-fartsy kind of thing, then you don't want that. So what I'm going to do is trim this down to 8 inches instead of 8 1/4. Okay. There. Now we've caught everything. And I'll show you another one that I have done as well. Aren't these pretty? Fall. So I have here 2 beginnings of needle books or whatever, but like I said, the swap is a needle book. So when I figure out what I'm going to do, I'm just, I'm flying by the seat of my pants here as we go. Then I will share with all of you, my friends. All right, be back. I am back with you again. I started sewing and I thought I better record this little bit so that you know what I'm doing here. Okay, when I finished this piece and then folded over in half, so I had a crease there, and this will be my front. So what I ended up doing, let's see, I'll bring this in a bit, was I just added some more fabrics, a bit of paper, more paper, embellishments, and glued on a pretty, this reminded me kind of a sunflower. It's metal, and I thought that was, I like it. So my decision then was, do I do pillowcase method and stitch this with a back, turn it right side out, and then it becomes 1/2 inch smaller on all, or 1/4 inch on each side? Or do I put a binding on it and keep it the same size as it is? And that's what I opted to do. I'll turn this over just so you can see. This is what I did. I just put a piece of pretty batik that was in the front there, and so that's what I'm lining it with, and I'm in the process of stitching on my binding. Anyway, and I'm not going to do a binding. This is, not going to do that, but I am telling you what I am doing. I'm updating you on that. So I will finish this out. Then when I have stitched all of this in, then I will turn the binding like this, and I will hand stitch that a blind stitch so it looks pretty. And then I'll be ready to put my book together. This is just the cover. So there's more to come. All right. We'll be back again. I am done with my little needle book. So I just wanted to show you how it turned out. I think it's really cute. Front and back. And all I did on my threads, and everybody has their own way of doing. You can change the color of your threads to sew it if you want it to blend in. You can do it black if you want it highlighted. Excuse me. Or I just usually use a whiter cream, and then I just colored in, you know, in some places where I wanted it to blend. Anyway, all right, so here you go. Bum, bum, bum. Oh my, okay. So I made a little quilted pocket that I just hand stitched both sides in, just for fun. I don't know why. You can put some little goodies in here. And here I have some batting that I made to put my needles and pins and all of that kind of thing. And I stitched an extra layer, just because sometimes it's nice to have that to protect, to go through. It's a little sturdier. So you can use both sides. I did a smaller piece here. I made a little pocket here. So very simple, but I think it's really cute. And it's small enough that you can carry in a purse. You can put all kinds of things in it. Now, if I were going to load this up with all kinds of things, you know, scissors and all the sewing stuff and that we like to use sometimes when we're working, and had it fat, you know, then I would most likely attach a little bit of ribbon here and here to give myself a little tie closure. But for right now, the way it sits, I think it's great. So anyway, thank you guys for sharing this with me along my journey. I hope you have a fabulous day. Bye now.